There's a lot that could impress you about the all-new Honda Prologue EV. True, it's got class-leading passenger space and clean, thoughtful design and intuitive technology. But what really sets the Prologue apart from the competition is that it's more than an EV. It's a Honda. Honda, the power of dreams. Visit honda.com/prologue to learn more.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All2ReelToo. My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me, as always, is...
Sesame, lightning did not strike twice in Carta.
That's for sure. It's definitely for sure. I'm not sure if it really struck once, but, you know...
Well, I think it did, personally. I think... I was hoping that the lightning would strike the skateboard twice, but it only did it once, in my opinion. You know...
I mean... You know, it's the Skateboard Kid Part 1 is like the Citizen Kane of skateboard movies.
Yeah, it is.
This was more like the Larry the Cable Guy, you know, piece of shit sequel.
Yep.
Without Cable Guy. But now I just had an idea in my head that I really think Larry the Cable Guy should make Citizen Kane 2. And
no. No.
Just so we can do it.
Yeah, just so we can, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Citizen Kane 2, Rosebud Boogaloo. You know,
oh my God. Or Rosebud. I don't know what it's our like a barbecue sauce. Rosebud red hot chili fart sauce. Or some bullshit. I take Primal Sex so I can eat whatever I want without having heartburn anymore. It's like, yeah, how about this fucking asshole? Maybe like don't eat a bunch of food that's gonna like hurt your stomach. You know, that could be a thing you could do too. No, I'm gonna eat Primal Sex and then eat a bunch of chili with nothing but and ghost peppers in it. Okay, cool, good job. Love you for that.
There really are legitimate people that need to take Prilosec, such as myself. So I like prescribed it by their doctor.
I know, but he was such a terrible spokesman for it. Yeah.
It's like having some kind of like I don't know, getaway driver from a bank robbery be your spokesperson for your new Ford or something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anywho, today on the show we are covering the sequel to The Skateboard Kid. You thought there was just one, but no, there was a part 2 made like a year later.
Totally different cast, totally different plot, sort of.
Sequel in name only. Yeah.
Somehow more trippy than the first one as far as plot is concerned, but also simultaneously boring, which I'm not sure how those two things work, but somehow they make it work. So
yes, and this movie was directed by Andrew Stevens, who also stars in the movie as who does he play?
Does he own the competition, or is he just announced it?
He's the guy that runs the competition.
Okay.
I forgot his name, and I can't find it right now in this cast.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember. The second was like Frank. Not Frank. That was the old guy.
Or something. I don't know.
But
I'll look it up in a minute here, but it was written by Karen Kelly, who, as far as writing credits go, Karen Kelly has written Time Lapse, The Elf Who Didn't Believe, The Best Sunday, Angel Training, Poison Ivy New Seduction,
No.
Dead of Night, Subliminal Seduction,
Oh boy.
Body
Lots
Chemistry,
of seduction.
or Full Exposure,
So
Hard
basically like soft porn.
Dreams, Skateboard Kid 2, and Scorned. It's like a bunch of like softcore porn movies, not really porn, but like
Well, I wouldn't say softcore, but they're borderlining on softcore porn.
we can call them like sexy movies
Or
and,
Skinamax or something like that.
and
Like I remember watching
in kids movies. There's something weird about them both being written by the same.
Yeah, well, it's dichotomy of man. It's it's like the or maybe she got hired to it's like, hey, sure, I'll write this movie, whatever. No, I remember watching Poison Ivy 2 on like Showtime when I was like 13 or 14 years old.
Well,
like stayed up.
Poison Ivy, The New Seduction, is that 2 or 3? Because there's several Poison Ivy movies.
Oh, maybe I was thinking of, I don't know. It was one of them. Yeah. I think it was one of the sequels.
Yeah, it's there's Poison Ivy, Poison Ivy 2, Poison Ivy, The New Seduction, and then and Poison Ivy, The New Seduction came out in 1997, and then the fourth one came out in 2008 as a TV movie called Poison Ivy: The Secret Society.
Okay, interesting.
Which starred Miriam McDonald from Degrassi.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that freaked me out, man, because like I saw a scene on like a YouTube once, like a long time ago, and I was just like, I'm like, no, there's no way that's her. That's fucking weird. And then I was like, no, okay, definitely looked it up. It's definitely her. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, the one that Karen here wrote starred Jamie Presley from My Name is Earl and Mom, other things. The woman that looks like an older version of either Samara Weaving or Margot Robbie. So yeah.
Pretty decent cast. I mean, there's some pretty.
And this movie has a decent cast. We've got Dee Wallace, who goes from several years earlier being the mom in E.T. to being the mom in this as Lois Curtis. We've got Bruce Davison, who is in everything. Bert Squires, the bad guy. Yeah, there we go. We got Andrew Stevens. He's Ken Fields, not Franklin. Fields is the.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Ken Fields, and we got Trenton Knight as Sammy Curtis, our lead actor. We've got Turin Bay as Zeno. Got Full House's Andrea Barber.
Yeah.
Tilly Curtis. We got Brooke Stanley as Sammy's friend Mickey Kincaid, and we also have future alleged cult leader Andrew Keegan as Dan Foster.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on a sec. I didn't hear about that. Wait.
Yeah, he was accused of being a cult leader.
For what cult?
He started. So Andrew Keegan, in 2014, Keegan founded Full Circle, a community spiritual center based in Venice, Los Angeles. Vice characterized the organization as a new religion, while other outlets called it a cult. In a 2015 interview, Keegan described the group as a non-denominational spiritual community center where people of all beliefs and backgrounds come together to meditate, practice yoga, and engage artistically. New York Magazine reported in March of 2015 that the actual theology of the group is tough to pin down, but it seems to loosely follow Hinduism, or at least Russell Brand's Sanskrit tattoo version of it. That's their.
Now he's a right-wing Christian.
Yeah,
so I guess
that's their quote from the thing. And in May of 2015, the Full Circle Temple was raided by the California Department of Alcohol and Beverage Control officers. The raid was apparently related to Full Circle's distribution of kombucha, a fermented beverage. A spokesperson for the temple stated that they were unaware that they needed a license to distribute kombucha, Full Circle closed in 2017 due to financial difficulties. Yeah. So there
license distribute anything.
Yeah.
That argument doesn't make any sense. Like, even if you made like homemade soda, you would still need some kind of I
mean, you can give people soda for free, but I mean, if you need a license to sell it, but if you're making homemade, I guess, but but if I went down to the store and bought a 2-liter of Pepsi and shared it with some people at the church, it would be okay. You know what I mean? But,
yeah.
But, it's, yeah.
That's
so
crazy. Is that the kid with like the wavy hair?
Yeah. He's the one who's the love interest to the sister, to Andrea Barber's character. So yeah,
dude, I recognized that kid right away because I remember seeing him on like almost everything, like a lot of skateboard type movies during that era, like or something like that.
In the 90s, he was on like every girl's bedroom wall. Like he was the cover of every like 17 or Teen Beat magazine, so at the time. So it was just like he was the dreamboat. He was in 10 Things I Hate About You, Camp Nowhere, a bunch of other movies that I can't think of off the top of my head, but he was like huge for a time there. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember wanting his hair because like that wavy hair. I remember wanting to get a haircut like his, but my hair just didn't naturally fall the right way. But yeah.
He had a recurring role on Seventh Heaven.
Okay.
Which was about a minister who in real life actually sexually underage women, but or underage girls, I should say, not women, underage girls. Yeah. Yep.
It's good stuff. Great stuff. We live in all these people in Hollywood, and well, not just Hollywood.
Yeah. But I'm just saying the whole thing with Andrew Keegan, people claimed it was a cult, but it was never declared a cult by anybody. So I'm just saying that, he was accused of being a cult leader. I don't know if it is or it was, or if it was just a group of people getting together to be spiritual together and make art, so.
Right. Yeah.
But I just thought I'd pull that, throw that out there. Yeah. But yeah, we've got other people in smaller roles. We've got Ken Schreiner from General Hospital as Colonel at the recruiting center. We got Larry Poindexter as an announcer, and he's been in a bunch of things. So yeah. So those are a couple of random throwaway characters that were, played by people you've probably seen in other things. So initial thoughts on this movie here.
Man, I was disappointed. I thought it was really, really boring. There were some cool, trippy things that could have made the movie more interesting. Yeah. But they just didn't know what to do with those trippy things. Like, for example, so spoilers, warning if people haven't seen the first movie from 1994 and made in 1993, was that lightning strikes a skateboard that our hero was making in his garage, and it had a little motor attached to it. And for some reason, lightning striking the motor gave it a personality, which I'm not sure how that works. But and then so that was the first one. This one is much more convoluted. It's that this kid named Sammy. Well, we'll get into that. But yeah, just the thoughts was it was boring to me.
Yeah, it was pretty boring, I think. It kind of had a similar plot to the first one, but not completely. Like, somebody maybe losing their home and, stuff like that. But, and this one at least kind of focused more on skateboarding than the other one, even though they didn't really show a lot of it.
Right.
And when they did show skateboarding, it was obviously not the people skating in some of the scenes.
Oh yeah. No, you could definitely tell it was a stunt double.
Yeah. I did not like this movie.
It had potential. It really did, but it just they couldn't execute it.
It was correctly. Really predictable.
Was like, for example, so like just to like can I make the first point real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so the movie, the beginning of the movie, I could already tell what's going to happen was Sammy and his dad are working on a car that's been like their like project, his father and son or whatever. And then he's like, "Okay, buddy, I gotta go to work now. We'll get back to this tomorrow or tonight or whatever." And then so like he walks away from the garage and he's like walking towards like the door into like the regular house, but it has like this really weird like silhouette feel to it where like they're almost like shadows, and then there's like a big great light like facing the other way. And he's like, he puts on his helmet. He's like, "I know, honey. I know you're scared, but they want me to test out this plane, and all." I'm like, "Oh boy, the guy's definitely gonna die from like a plane crash or whatever."
Yeah.
And then so like sure enough, he goes through the light. But hold on, there was a little bit of a fake out because the next day, seemingly the next day, it shows Sammy flying a remote controlled airplane with his friend Mickey next door or whatever. And then we're like, "Oh, okay. That's interesting. He really likes airplanes like his dad or whatever." And then excuse me, and then this guy, a tow truck starts stealing the car, taking the car, and the kid's like, "That's my dad's car. We're gonna fix it up," and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, "No, there's no way. The dad character's dead. There's no way he's still alive. They're not gonna set it up with him like really walking into the light." And then so no, it was a double fake out because the mom gets home and he's like, "Mom, they're taking away Dad's car," and then she's like, "I know that was important to you, like when you were making that with Dad." And I'm like, "Oh boy," like it's like, "Oh, it's a fake out because you get it because he was the car's still there, but the dad, yeah, okay, that was their attempt at being clever, I guess, but it all fell flat after that, unfortunately. I think they used up their cleverness for that one scene, and then the rest of the movie is a fever dream of like a weird German scientist dude who works in an empty warehouse. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting way ahead.
He was German, thoroughly. He was kind of came off as Greek to me, but I don't know.
Maybe he was Greek, I don't know, but he's some kind of foreigner.
Yeah, the actor.
The actor was it Zeno? Was that his name?
His name was Zeno. The actor's name was Turin Bay.
Right. Turin, that's kind of like isn't that a German name?
That's what I'm wondering, if he was German or what he was.
Sounds German to
Austrian.
Okay. Well,
he was an Austrian born of. He was Turkish and Czech Jewish origin.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, he was like he acted for a long time. Like his looks like some of his first movies were like in the 40s.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, he was like active from 1941 to 53, and then it looks like he took a long break and then came back to acting in 1990 until 98.
Okay.
And then he died in 2012. So yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. So wow.
I'm itching to get into this movie. Can we get into it? Because
tell me what goes on here in this spectacular piece of cinema.
So, yes, in this spectacular piece of cinema, we have that scene that leads up to like, oh, I get it. The dad guy died in a plane crash, probably, or something. They didn't say that. That was probably what happened because he was literally on his way to test a new jet that the military was making, and he walks into the light. So I'm assuming that was what they were going for. Who knows though with this movie, because you can never tell. But and so he's trying to find something to do, I guess, and he gets the idea to maybe do a skateboard thing. And then the kids, of course, the older kids, of course, make fun of him because he's younger than they are and he's not very good. So then he gets really upset about that. Then he ends up making a wish or something. I don't remember what it was. And then he ends up getting this thing in the mail. Somehow it knows where he lives. His address, and I don't even know, someone's stalking him. I'm not sure, and then so it's for like like a little flyer to like order like some cool custom made skateboard, I guess. And so he gets the idea to save up some money or take some money he saved up and to buy this thing. And then it comes in the mail a few days later, and it turns out that you have to assemble it by hand. And so he's pissed off about that. And so he tries to go. Mind you, there's a lot of scenes in this movie where this kid is just a delinquent. He's just walking around by himself, like in a big city like Los Angeles or something. Like,
Yeah,
just gets on the bus and like he looks like he's like 10 years old. His character's 13, but he looks way younger than 13.
This was like the early 90s though, so back then, you know, kids were allowed to do that shit.
I guess, yeah. But there was multiple scenes where he ignored Capricorn Alien's advice by not walking through like abandoned warehouse districts and stuff like that and taking shortcuts because, you know,
yeah, but that's what
abducted.
you did.
Yeah, he didn't. He could have gotten abducted, but unfortunately, he didn't have one of those cool zapper things that could just zap him into a different situation, so he can just get out of any bad situation he's in as long as he has it on his wrist. So there was no zapper for that. But Corny, then again, Corny probably would have been doing. He probably would have led him into the danger because idiot doesn't know what he's doing. Yet he's the one that was sent to Earth to teach kids how to protect themselves, but he's the one who has more problems than they do. So I'm not sure he's just getting a free ride.
Like more information on that, be sure to listen to
that's a different movie. Sorry, or episode, whatever. Okay, so he goes returns. So he's still there. Or did you crack up?
I'm good.
Okay, good. Sorry, I didn't know if you cracked up. Not cracking up as in like cracking up like mentally because of that we watched, but.
I just went insane and after watching this movie and cracked up that way, and I'm thinking about institutionalizing myself soon. So,
me too, actually, yeah, for different reasons, but you know, just our political landscape crumbling before our eyes. But anyways, that's a different topic. But and so this kid, he takes the box to this warehouse that is supposedly where the skateboard was created. And then it's just like completely empty except for one dude who apparently just works there or runs the place alone. And he's like, you know, like dispensing all this weird, like cryptic wisdom, you know, it's like,
because, you know, the smart thing to do is to go into a big abandoned warehouse and hang out with an scary dude.
Exactly. Someone you've never met before. And who like just is like talking in riddles the entire. Yeah, that's a great. No, I would definitely not be like running towards the door at that point. Like,
you know,
like,
who else talked in riddles?
What? Who?
You know who else talked in riddles?
No,
the Riddler.
Oh. Yeah, the Riddler. Exactly. He was not a good character, and so he's like, oh well, sometimes things seem like they're broken, but they're really just needs to be put together. Or just some like stupid truisms that don't make any sense. Actually think about it, but they sound like deep and profound, especially from him because he had like an Austrian accent, I guess. So he ends up building the skateboard, and then Sammy starts helping him build it, and then he's like says some weird bullshit about like listening to your heart or whatever. I don't know. And then he like put like this weird little heart-shaped thing in the skateboard, and then it like activates it through like some weird like futuristic digital technology that we don't know exists in the Earth at this point. And there's like a timer on it. And so apparently he has to like quote listen to his heart or whatever before this timer goes out for some reason. Whatever. They don't explain why.
I mean, this whole chapter is not part of the selected writings of the DeLuise, you know, directive of beliefs that we have in the DeLuise, you know, the skater freaks. You know, we're not, you know.
Yeah, the skater freaks. No, this is not part of the DeLuise canon. This is veered off. This is like its own canon that's not considered part of the true canon.
I consider what's the guy's name, Zeno or whatever.
Yeah, Zeno. Yeah.
Yeah, I consider him a false prophet.
Yeah, I think so too. He's not real. He's a false, and I have proof that he's a false prophet too, because there's many black magic things that he does throughout this movie that should not.
I mean, mind you, I'm pretty sure that this movie did inspire Andrew Keegan to start his religious group.
He might have been. No, really, it could have actually. It could have been, because it's really trippy. And so he gets his skateboard. It's all tricked out. It's got these cool lights and shit on it. Occasionally, Xeno speaks through the skateboard. So I don't know if he put a microphone in the skateboard so that he can communicate with Sammy in his bedroom at night. Complete stranger. Anyway, or if he's like somehow projected his spirit into the skateboard and now has become one with the skateboard, almost kind of like how Christians believe like Jesus and God are like inseparable. So maybe Xeno and the skateboard are kind of like a holy trinity, I guess a holy duality, if you will, of like spirit and form. Anyway, and so he goes, this is the problem I had with both movies, actually. I mean, I do think Skateboard Kid 1 is like a near perfect movie, like unironically. But the one thing I didn't like about it, and this movie apparently decided to carry on the one bad tradition from the first movie. None of the good things, but it carried on the one bad thing from the movie. So that's a great start thing. Is that the kid doesn't like the skateboard does all the work for the kid. Like there's no skill, like, you know what I mean?
Well, in this movie, we at least have at the ending where the kid does it because of his heart.
But then again, that's even more stupid because he has no training. He skateboarded like what 3 times in his life at this point, and he's doing all these crazy tricks on like, dude, he would have cracked his skull open if he really tried those tricks for real. Let's be real. Like,
I will tell you something though that very few people know about this movie.
Okay,
it's actually the fictionalized biography of Tony Hawk.
Okay,
this is how he hates so well.
I mean, it makes sense, but yeah, like it's like both these movies have this thing where it's like the skateboard is like the one in control for the most part.
Yeah,
and then there's some thing where the skateboard breaks or gets stolen or whatever, and like, oh no, what am I gonna do? It's just me, blah blah blah. And then
if you and I were ever to write a sequel, I think Skateboard Kid 3 should be where the kid actually becomes the skateboard.
Yeah, see, that would actually be better. No, it would be. And like, because like that's the thing too, is like having like the ghost of like a former character or like the spirit of a character helping like the new character. That is more compelling story writing than just like, oh, it got struck by lightning and so now the motor has a personality for some reason.
Or the painful transformation, like when you see like in like American Werewolf in London, where the guy turns into the werewolf. There's this like painful transformation where he turns into a skateboard, and then his life is ruined because now he has to live the rest of his life as a skateboard.
Yeah, and people are always like stepping on him and riding him all the time, and it's like, God damn it, this is my back, it hurts. You can't do anything about it though. It's a skateboard. What do you gotta do, right? Nothing you can do. And then so he goes back and he does all these cool tricks, and the kids are like, whoa. And like, just like the first one, you had like one of the guys that were in like the skateboard gang doesn't like the fact that they're picking on the kids so much. And so that person slowly starts fading away from the gang because he doesn't agree with like what the leader's doing. So you had that one, the first one, there was a guy that was kind of like, he just sort of,
he wasn't a prominent of a character, but he still was there.
He wasn't. Not the first one, but he did at the end. He did end up like taking a rope and like basically knocking all the other kids off when they were trying to skateboard down.
Yeah, and in this one, like the first one, you also have like the kind of like leader of the skate punks is the son of the main villain. So
yeah, exactly. So that's exactly the same. And they even tried to make the guy look a little. Well, I guess no, not really. Actually, for a second, I thought that guy was the dude who played Terry Silver in The Karate Kid. But I had to look it up. I'm like, no, it's not him. Okay, because that would have been hilarious if it was that actor. Because Cobra Kai.
What you mean you mean the bad guy, the Bruce Davis?
Yeah, the what's the guy with the guy who's like selling houses or whatever.
Bruce Davison's character. Yeah. Bert Squires. Yeah.
Bert Squire, yeah. And so, yeah, for a second I thought he looked familiar, but I looked him up because sometimes I
and
think,
he does look familiar because he's in everything. So
he's literally in I've seen him in so many things.
I mean, he was in the X-Men movies, so come on. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He was in those. I've seen him in stuff from the 80s and 90s as well.
Yeah.
And so, he does all these cool tricks at the skateboard court, and they're kind of mad at him because he's doing good, and they're suspicious, so they think it's something to do with the skateboard. So already we're getting into that plot of the skateboard special, bro, or whatever. So the main leader hatches this plan to invite him to do a challenge or whatever, and then they're going to end up stealing the skateboard, and so that the leader of the gang can have it. But the skateboard, or Xeno living in the skateboard rather, I guess, has different plans in mind. And so he has Sammy fly, because apparently we need to have that again twice in 2 movies, is a skateboard flying.
The kids question this either. That's what I think is funny.
What's that?
None of the kids question how he's able to fly.
They don't. They just said oh, how could he do that? Instead of being if I saw that in real life, my reaction wouldn't be oh, how could he do that? I would be almost terrified.
Yeah.
Seeing that I'm seeing someone flying, totally going against the law of physics.
Without a propeller or any kind of propulsion at all. It's just, yeah.
I would probably be screaming, because it's one thing to watch on TV, but if you saw that in person in real life, I guarantee you most people would actually be terrified, even if nothing bad was happening, just because of how abnormal that situation would be.
I mean, because it's I've thought about it recently. I was watching Back to the Future 2 parts of it the other day, and I was thinking about flying cars and that and everything, and I was just and the Jetsons and all these other things, and then I thought about it, the logistics of actually making a flying car. None of these cars in these movies have something that actually shows you how they're propelled into the sky, and how they keep above air. It just doesn't make any scientific logistical sense. Yeah.
No, it was just made to look cool, basically. And I don't know, man. There's a scene where Sammy tries to go back to the warehouse and Xeno isn't there, but he's talking to him at night. So there's this whole thing, there's a subplot going on where Sammy isn't really hanging out with Mickey anymore that much. And they used to have these walkie-talkie conversations, but then he started putting on headphones at night, and so he could never hear her talking to him.
He explained why he did that.
They never. Well, I thought maybe it was because of the noise from the skateboard, maybe the weird blippy sounds. I don't know. They didn't really explain it.
And I mean, the thing is those weird blippy sounds and stuff. I mean, that house isn't that big. Don't you think his sister or his mom would have noticed those noises?
Exactly. That's the other thing too. Is a skateboard that lights up, especially at night, and occasionally Xeno. That's the other thing too. Is why does Xeno just randomly start having conversations with them in the middle of the night? He can't wait until the morning. He has to randomly 2 a.m. Oh yeah, I thought about this. I need to get my thought out. Dude, no, wait till the morning. Come on, and
well,
I don't know, the skateboard did look pretty cool.
Or does that to me in the middle of the night. So I don't know.
Really? Yeah. Both these movies, both of the kids have a very unhealthy relationship with their skateboard. I just gotta say it. No, in the first one, he's literally sleeping, hugging the skateboard. I'm okay. Come on, we both know that, right? We all have our security skateboards.
Yeah. I think Sammy does it at one point in this movie too. So
yes, he does. I think it's okay. I mean, it was the 90s, so I guess a skateboard was kind of like a teddy bear, maybe, or something like that. Oh yeah.
I used to have a stuffed skateboard. It was kind of weird.
Oh really?
Okay.
That's kind of cool. But all in all, first one's way better. The skateboard in this one does look pretty cool. I'll give it that.
And
But
so
the weird stuff with Xeno, what's that?
yeah, I was thinking, yeah, it's not as cool.
And like the stakes aren't as high. I guess they are as high, but there's not the acting does not convey the importance of the matter. So like one of the big things is that they're losing their house or potentially losing their house. You want to take over from now?
I'm just saying they're potentially losing their house and stuff. But my main thing with the menace of the movie, I guess you could say, is there's not enough Bruce Davison scenes.
Right.
I hate to say this, but the Skateboard Kid 2 focuses too much on the Skateboard Kid.
It does. No, it really does.
That we don't really get the stakes of the fact that, his mom might be losing their house and they might have to, because they show us the attachment of the car and then they have to sell the car to help pay bills and stuff. But it's just like, it doesn't really come off that way. And nothing against Bruce Davison. He just doesn't come off as creepy as I think he should.
No, like the first movie, Frank, he was like this car salesman dude. Like he had that kind of slimy,
he was cartoonishly creepy. And I think Bruce Davison playing it more realistically creepy, where this movie needed a cartoonishly creepy character.
Right. Yeah, I agree. He was just like a little bit creepy. The other weird thing though about that though is so she caught him on her property twice, and I'm like, isn't that against the law to just be like walking in someone's yard without like she still owns the house at this point. This is not it's not foreclosed, like it's not like, oh, you have 30 days to evacuate the house, like it's still her house.
Yeah, and she said she was going to call the cops if he didn't get out of there right away, and he did get out of there that one time, but then he came back, which that's the time where I'm like, she should have called the cops right then.
I mean, exactly. It's like, dude, you can't just walk. You can't just like meander through other people's yards without like asking them. Like, for example, it's just like sometimes, for example, like, the neighbor kids might, run through the yard a little bit if they're playing in their yard, fine, whatever. But if like you're just like some random dude that just like is walking in my yard, I'm like, no, like, can I help you? Like,
Yeah, I mean, and if the neighborhood kids were like just hanging out in your yard, that would be weird too,
Yeah, I think there's a certain amount of time. If it's just for like a minute, if we're like talking 10 to 15, I'm like, okay, what's your business? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's just like the feeling of being nervous. Like, what are we doing here? And get out my lawn. Well,
I mean, even if they just started playing catch in your front yard, that'd be kind of weird. But yeah,
it would be if they didn't ask permission. The thing is, too, if they did, I would be fine with that. Like, but like you do need to ask, and that's the point too. Is like you can't just do it. Like, and Sky, of course, he's an adult, so he has really no excuse at that point, and he's also a business guy, I guess, or something. They never really explain what he did they? They just like
that's something about like, oh, this is all going to be skyscrapers here, sky highs.
Oh,
here.
right, okay.
Like, what the heck? Yeah.
But it was just like mentioned like once. It wasn't like the previous guy, Frank.
We didn't know that he was if he was like a real estate developer or what he was, Yeah.
Yeah, we just knew that he was rich or at least well off, and I don't know, they try to have these like funny little bits in the movie where like he was talking to his son, who's the leader of like the skateboard group or gang, not really a gang, whatever, just the leader of that group. And he's like, how I feel about losing, and how I felt when your mother left me for that Greek tycoon. And his kid's like, he was a pastry maker at a Greek deli or something like that.
Yeah.
Or it's like,
and then they tried to have a callback to it too, and it fell flat.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, like we already established that lightning did not strike twice, so it's definitely not going to strike 3 times. So let's give it up. Okay, give up the dream.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It really struck once in this movie, so yeah.
No, it did not. Not this movie. There's no lightning. Literally no lightning. Actually, in fact, there's no storms. This one, Xeno is the storm.
That's because you know why that is?
Why?
It doesn't rain in Southern California.
Oh, maybe that's why.
At least that's what the song says.
That's a good call. That's a good call.
Yeah.
Not callback. Good reference.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Xeno, the thing that scares me though is that Xeno, we don't know anything about him. We know he's probably got some kind of mystical powers of some sort. He's Austrian. In the first movie, lightning strikes the skateboard, which gives the skateboard a personality by Dom DeLuise playing the voice. We established in that movie that Dom DeLuise has some form of magic. I postured dark arts, but maybe just regular magic too. And so Stormfront was one of the first white supremacist websites online. The Nazis had groups called Stormtroopers. This guy's Austrian. So I'm thinking, is there some nefarious stuff afoot here? Like, what's going on with this character, you know?
I mean, Hitler was Austrian.
Hitler was Austrian, and so, you know, just saying, there's,
I mean, maybe guy, you know, working with Mengele or something, you know, I don't know.
And the main villain kid, the Squires, he was blonde hair, blue-eyed. You know, he's got his cohorts of other skaters that kind of just follow his command without question, except for the one kid who later on allegedly started the cult. But he was the only one that spoke up against them, but he got severely for doing so. And so there's another subplot. There's like 3 subplots. So there's that one, and then the other one is that the Andrew Stevens guy, he shows up. He's like, hey kids, you're practicing hard for your competition or whatever. You know, like, yeah, we'll see you on Sunday, sir, whatever. And then
another adult hanging out in the park with kids. So yeah.
Well, it is one he had an actual reason because he was, you know.
So it's kind of weird to me, but
it is a little bit weird. But it's the '90s, you know. You got kids taking buses by themselves, and you know, which is another thing too. So Sammy, his character is supposed to be 13 years old. This kid does not look a day over 11 to me. I don't know what's going on with that. And the other thing too, and so like this was the beginning of the movie is when he's fixing up the car with his dad. His dad walks into the light to symbolize that he's going to die in a plane crash the next day. And then this is the next scene where he's playing with the remote control airplane. This is supposed to take place, quote, years after. It looks like 3 days. And like,
he's supposed to be 12, by the way.
Oh, okay. I thought he said 13. No, that's right. He did say 12.
And the actor was 12 when this was made. So
okay, well, yeah, okay, that makes sense. He looks like it. And so, but from that scene to the next scene, he looks like he's aged like 3 days. No, it's supposed to be years after that event happened. Okay, sure. And at that point too, we had no idea he had a sister during the beginning of the movie. So sister just
it was a different actor playing him as a kid. So
was it? Okay, well, just he looked. I don't know. Maybe sometimes I can't tell a difference. I can't. They all look like all these Austrians and these black-haired kid. I don't know, whatever. And then I don't know what I'm talking about. But like, and so Andrew Stevens guy, what was his name? Ken Fields. Kenneth Fields, I think was his name. He's like, you should do the competition too or whatever. And he's like, no, thanks, sir. I'm not really in competing. He's like, oh, come on, you could be fun or whatever. And there's prize money and all kinds of other things. And he's like, oh, prize money. Okay, sure, I'll be there. Blah blah blah, or whatever. And so then
got this then white van that says "free kittens" on the side of it.
Exactly. Then that shows up, and then Corny's not there to save him. So then that's the end of that movie, and it's a terrible ending. Just you don't know what happens. Just and so he goes to see Xeno again a few times. He's not really showing up. He's talking through the skateboard again, either through microphone or some kind of mystical magical powers. We're not sure. Long story short, the kids try to steal the board. They don't steal it, but the timer runs out. The timer runs out. So now the board doesn't work anymore. Oh, meanwhile, so there's another plot where the kid was going to try to steal the board by having the future cult leader with the wavy hair, who apparently was the dreamboat of the 90s, which I vaguely remember that going on.
Had him go to the dance with Andrea's character and to get her out of the house the same night that the dad took the mom to the house out to dinner to talk about saving her house.
So an adult male has hatched a plan for his minor son to commit a crime of breaking and entering and stealing property, and under the ruse that he was also sexually harassing the kid's mother at dinner. So, it was the 90s though, right? 90s. So,
Yep.
different time, different era. I guess when things were okay, normalized back then. So she spills pasta on his pants. They try to do this funny little thing where he's always yelling at the waiter, like, Ralph. I guess they thought that would be kind of quirky and funny. To me, it just was kind of stupid. Just fell flat to me. Wasn't. I know what they were trying to do, just didn't really succeed in my view. And so, sorry, am I talking way too much? You can start talking.
But basically, though, in the movie, then he ends up making it to the competition eventually. Gets his board back, but Mickey gets hurt in the process. He gets her to the hospital by stopping a cop. And
by riding with the skateboard, holding on to the fucking the door.
Yeah. Pulling
a
Marty McFly sort of thing. And but anyways, they get her help. She's good. And he's got to go to the competition. He gets there, but Zeno, talking through the skateboard, says, I no longer have the power because I used it all, blah, blah, blah. And then they give him another board. He says, I think my board's broken. So they give him a regulation board from the place. And then he turns into like a 30-year-old man and skates. And
right.
because the stunt double looked nothing like him.
Nothing.
And there's more on that in a minute. So then he wins the competition, and he wins the prize, and then that saves the house, so he can, his mom can pay off the mortgage or whatever. And they have a party afterwards at the house that everybody goes to except for the squires, the jerk and his son. And then while at the party, Zeno shows up in the backyard on a swing.
Oh my God.
Sammy and him have this little, heart to heart about things, and you got to use your heart. And
right.
The Mickey comes wearing a pretty dress and kind of stuns Sammy. I guess, this is his first, thinking a girl's pretty sort of thing, I think.
No, it's the whole thing. It's the whole thing. You look like a girl because she was a tomboy. You get it?
Because she put a dress on.
It's one of those things like where they take the glasses off. Whoa! Yeah. That kind of thing. Yeah.
And anyways, so she randomly has a Polaroid camera with her, so she takes a picture of and Sammy, and then when the picture develops, which I actually saw a mile away, just letting you know, it develops and it's not Zeno sitting there, it's his dad.
So, okay, I have 1,000 questions about that. Okay, so is this to infer that Zeno is like his dad from like the future or some kind of weird like multiverse thing? Like, why would it become his dad? Like, why?
I don't know, but for some reason when they took the picture, I was just like, it's going to be his dad when it develops.
Of course. No, I thought the same exact thing.
I don't know why it is, but I thought that was going to happen. I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah.
I'm only guessing from their perspective. I have no idea. This movie came out like almost 30 years ago, and it was made 30 years ago. The only thing I can think of is that, the Zeno is always talking about following your heart and stuff. And so he used like the last bit of his magic to then make it look like it was his dad. But that still is really confusing because
say that his heart is his dad.
True. But at the same time, though, too, it's like Zeno was kind of his friend for a while. So why would he want a picture with Zeno? Why would he want to turn it to his dad? Because if you don't know, that's the other thing, too. He knows it's a fake picture. So why would that's like saying like, oh, I photoshopped you with your dad at like Cedar Point in like 2004. Well, I haven't been to Cedar Point since 2000. So why would I care about a fake Sure. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like, I mean, if I wanted to, I could make a picture tomorrow of me and my grandpa, but it
right.
doesn't mean my grandpa's
That's what I'm
alive.
saying. It's
Yeah.
not a real. It's not a real picture. So why would it hold any emotional value? Oh, Xeno.
It's just one of those things that was going to be answered in Skateboard Kid 3, but we never got.
Right. Right.
Yes. So
But they had no more magic left. It was all used up. So
either that or I think the company went bankrupt at some point. So
we should start writing sequels to movies that we know are terrible. Like we should write a script for the Skateboard Kids 3, and then also Gone to Maui Part 2. Maybe I've been thinking about that one for a while.
We'll do that in the future, and if you guys want to help us produce those films, we will. If you donate to our Patreon.
Yes.
Quick couple goofs from the movie I just wanted to share. There's an obvious height difference between Curtis and his stunt double.
Oh yeah.
So the kids in the movie all ride new mid-90s to present skateboards, but during the contest footage, the riders are clearly riding old school mid-1980s skateboards. The skateboarding during the contest is actual contest footage from the mid-80s.
Wow.
So explains why his stunt double looks nothing like him. And I also think it's funny because the stunt double is wearing a blue shirt that's similar to his shirt, but it has writing on the back, and I don't think his had writing on the back.
Right. No, it didn't.
Yeah. So
I checked. Nope.
So yeah, that's the Skateboard Kid 2.
Uh-huh.
So any other thoughts here?
Nope, not really.
Okay, so folks, like I said, be sure to check out our Patreon. You can find the link at all2reeltoo.com, as well as links to everything else, including our TeePublic, where you can get some merchandise, some t-shirts and whatnot. Also, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. I'm thinking of doing something right now. We're not quite there yet, but because we're still low on reviews, and I'd love to get some more. So if we get to 50 reviews, you can pick one of those t-shirts from our TeePublic for free if you are the 50th reviewer.
Uh-oh.
So get on it, folks. Give us a 5-star review. Tell your friends to give us a 5-star review, and if you're the 50th reviewer, you get a free t-shirt.
Yep.
So keep that in mind, and just be sure to tell your friends about our podcast and all that good stuff. Make sure you don't accidentally start a cult. Be kind to each other, and just remember that I love you. Xeno or Sammy's dad or whoever the fuck he is loves you. Just use your heart.
Uh-huh.
Sesame loves you.
I do.
And until next time, bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to All2ReelToo podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.